Hello. So I have been challenged by my friend John to take something called the Tic Tac Toe challenge, and what this is the following. First, make Tic Tac Toe in Vanilla JS. If you don't know what Vanilla JS is, it's this amazing, fast, lightweight, cross-platform framework for building incredible, powerful JavaScript applications. Um, Everybody should be using Vanilla JS at some point in their life, at least to understand how it works. No other external JS libraries. It can be trash and probably should be. 2 human players, no AI, no network. And it should detect finished games and reset the board after it's done. So I've set up my dev environment in a way that's going to be conducive for this challenge. Of course, it is a little bit of a speed challenge, so my goal is to try and get this done as quickly as possible. Flex a little bit of those JS programming skills, muscles. Mind you, I haven't done JavaScript in about 15 years, besides little snippets here and there. And I recently quit my job and I've got some interviews coming up, so this will probably be a good excuse to practice coding under duress. Alright, so let's see what happens and see how quickly I can build JavaScript tic-tac-toe. Expect like crazy amounts of swearing or silly things to happen, so anything goes. Let's make a new file, index.html, and we'll see if I even remember how to do anything with the browser in any sane fashion. So this should show up, index.html there. Awesome. Great. First step, good. We won't need this anymore because we're going to do this in a single file. So HTML. Oh, hey. VS Code closes those brackets for me. Awesome. I think there's something called like head. That's a thing, right? And then there's body. We're going to need the body. I want to make sure this actually does something. So let's say hello world. I can't even type. Wow. Awesome. Next thing I need some sort of JavaScript. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the developer console, browser console. No, it's web console. I'm in Firefox. Let's do that over again. Web developer, web console. That's what we're looking for. Great. And I got this console. Character encoding of the I don't care. Okay. So, script, I believe. Does that go on the head? We'll find out. Script. And then maybe let's do a console.log. Hello.js. Probably need a semicolon too, right? Okay. Save it. Awesome. Okay, great. So I at least know how to do some JavaScript. Now, all of our script's going to live in this thing. So I guess probably what we should do first is create our tic-tac-toe board. So let's do this. Maybe like do it in a, should I do it in a pre-block or in a code block? Guess we should do it in a code block. Let's see what happens if I do this. Hello. And I'm just gonna hate like having to do this, like click over and over again, but that's okay. Okay, so then let's just theoretically come up with some sort of silly looking fake board that we'll do in ASCII art, because the rules don't say how you have to do this. Alright, oops. Oh man. Alright, this will probably not look so good because it will probably also need to be pre-formatted. And so maybe this is kind of the wrong way to do this. Alright, let's do a table. Go old school. Remember those things? Tables. Wow. Okay, so I want to do this in a tr and tr. And so what's a 3 by 3, right? So let's do TD. What? TD. And TD. And VS Code is overthinking things. Okay, good. I think that looks right. And let's just go ahead and X, X, X. There's probably some clever way to CSS format this so that I get all of the things that I want. But I don't know how to do that right now. So you know what? We're just gonna leave it like this, and and uh, you know, that'll be that. Okay. Um, Crap. So next, what I need to do is I need to figure out how to index into these, and then I want to make sure that at least I can identify what row and column has been accessed. So let's use classes because I know that each row and column is going to have its own have multiple instances of that tag. So class equals C1, and then let's also do that here. Class equals. Oh, you know what? We gotta zero index these. All right. Class equals C2. I'm gonna make that a little bit smaller. Actually, you know what I can do? I can, well, we'll do that later. Okay, so let's refresh this. I also want to make sure that I remember how to actually, it's a document dot get element by class name, get elements by class name, and then C1. And that gives me a collection of it gives me an array of three objects. It's exactly what I want. Okay, let's also now do rows. Oh, come on, multi-line highlighting. Oh, VS Code seems to have changed on me since I installed it on this new OS. Oh man, how am I gonna live without multi-line highlighting? Okay, all right. R0, R1, R2. Okay, so let's do that again. Document dot get elements by class name R2, and that does give me a set of things. Good. Awesome. Next, I need to probably install some sort of click handler, and then we'll figure out how to do the game loop after that. So let's instantiate an onClick, and I know this is going to screw me up. Is it onClick or click? I never remember. We'll try it. We'll try both ways. On. Oh hey, I get this helper thing. Although it might be on click with a C, capital C. Nope. Okay, we'll just do this. We'll trust VS Code. Um, and on click is going to be, let's just do, you know, I'm not sure if I have to like tell it what the class is. What I'm gonna try and do is do something clever with like self to see if self can pull out that class, those class names. But you know, we'll see what happens. Okay, so on click click do click. And actually, I think that should work. Function do click. So let's just make sure that this works at all, and then we'll do console.log clicked. Refresh. Uh-oh. Oh, hold on. Let's do that. File save. Do I need to actually call that? Maybe. Has the world of JavaScript changed since I last used it? There we go. All right. Okay. What's self? I wonder what self is. Can I directly console.log self? Man, I'm so used to Elixir where I can just inspect things. Self is not a function. Self is not a function. It's an object. That's right. Object-oriented programming. Window. Okay, so that does not give me what I want. All right, that's fine. We can just call do click with the column. And we'll console.log column plus row. Gotta love those overloaded mathematical operators. So C 0, 0, 1, 2, file save. Cool. Beautiful. Okay. So next, I'm going to copy this code over to the next row. And then these are column 2, and this is column 1. Awesome. And just to make this easier to read, we can do this. Multi-line selecting not working in the way that I'm hoping it to. All right. Great. Now we have a system that that will do what we expect it to do. So first thing probably should do is to actually make these things do something on the click. So what I'm going to do is I am going to set up a state. So var state. And I think the way that what I don't want to do is make it an array of arrays. That's just going to get complicated, and everything's a map anyways in JavaScript. So let's just make our state be this. So C0 R0. And then I'm gonna, because I'm lazy, I'm gonna make this be. Actually, what we can do. Uh, no, let's just do it this way for now. Um, and yep, okay. So we're gonna make this be a blank, literally an underscore blank if nobody's placed anything there yet. We'll fix that later maybe if I care. So we're gonna need three of these, and do do do. All right, let's go ahead and do this actually. C0R1 R0 C0R1 C0R2. Oh yeah, commas. Thankfully, there's syntax highlighting that will underscore when I'm doing something horribly wrong. We'll get around to changing those columns. We'll do those all in one shot. Okay, C0R0, C1R1, C2R2. That's not right. Oh, I did this backwards. Okay. C. Okay, so the columns are correct. The rows need to be fixed. These are all row 0. Row 1. And row 1. Row 2. And row 2. Okay. So, and when we load, we should there is an onload thing, right? So HTML, maybe is it here? Is it onload? Let's see if I can do this thing where I onload it and it will repopulate the board the way it should look. So refresh board. And so function refresh board. And so this script should load before the body comes in. So I think that should be okay. Refresh board. You know what? This is a bad name. Let's call this repaint. I can't do multiple highlighting. Change all occurrences. Try that again. Change. VS Code. So I recently got a new computer and had to reinstall everything, so probably some of my VS Code settings just didn't make it across the jump. Repaint. We're going to call that repaint. Repaint. Okay, cool. So repaint, how's that going to work? So we're going to do 2 for loops, which I don't remember how to do in JavaScript. We could just do it the old school C way, which I do know how to do. Var IDX. I'm super old school and don't like to make my variable names I and J because I've used mathematical software where I can sometimes be the imaginary number, and you know that's kind of an old habit of mine. IDX plus plus IDX less than 3. Oh. Oh, semicolons. Yep. I mean, it's kind of fantastic that I don't remember any JavaScript and I can use this like old school C code to do what I want it to do. I mean, you know, JDX. It's also terrible that that's the case, but for different reasons. And so what we want to do is first we want to pull the object with the relevant class so document dot get elements by class name. I guess we should do C plus 0 or IDX. There we go. Okay, so I wonder how I can filter that. L equals call. And then, you know, it might be worthwhile to break this out into its own function, and then I can test it in the console, right? So let's make this be repaint cell, and then it's going to be on the IDX column and the row. Also, I guess some of you people who are watching might be weirded out that I'm doing column major, but you know, this is one of those old school CS Holy Wars, and column major is very much the correct way to go do things. Column and row. And so what I want to do first is I want to pull out the all of the elements. Well, I wonder if is there a way to do more than one selector. So document.get elements by class name. At least one argument's required, but only 0 parameters supplied. Oh, that doesn't help me. C0.R1. Can I do that? Let's see if I can do that, because that would be awesome. Nope. Okay. All right. So let's say I retrieve this, and we'll call this like X. And so I get 3. Oh, look at that. So this I can just index straight in by the row. That's fantastic. That's just freaking wonderful. Okay. So let's do this. Document.get elements by class name, and then we're just going to do C. So maybe I went a little bit overboard with some of these and you know, even though this is an integer, even if it were a string, it would be fine, because JavaScript is, for some insane reason, stringly typed. Or not strictly typed. Everything is a string, or everything is a string or a float or something confusing. Then what I want to do is I want to set the inner text, inner HTML. I want to set that to the corresponding thing in the state. So it's going to be state, and then we can index that by C plus col plus row R plus row. And that's so much better than two-dimensional array. Okay, so let's refresh, and everything should magically turn into underscores, which it didn't. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. So okay, I guess the problem is that I'm not repainting it when I think it's repainting. So let's see what happens. Console.log. Hi, Mom. Oh, no, it's going through this whole thing. So what is this? State C plus col plus R plus row. Oh, so this is not right. I think this is the problem here. So let's do this. IDX plus IDX. I guess I was wrong. You can't use these old school Z. Let me just try one more thing here. Var IDX equals 0. Var JDX equals 0. Maybe let's remove that var statement from there. Maybe I'm wrong that you can just use this old C construct and expect it to work in JavaScript. Okay, all right, that's clearly mistaken. So I wonder if how do I do, you know what, we can always fall back to the while loop. Okay, great. So now it only repainted the columns C0 C0 R0 C1 R1 R0. So it only went through C equals 1. Why is that? So I did 0, then it repainted that cell. So there's 3 of these underscores, which is good. So it's correctly doing the console.log, and then it did idx2. So why is it not doing that? Document get ccall row. State. Okay, so why did it not pull these out? Why did it only do that 3 times? Never went into, wow, JDX less than 3, repaint cell IDX. So let's console.log log JDX plus JDX. IDX0, JDX1, JDX0, JDX1, JDX2, IDX1, JDX2, why does it not go through that again? Wow, JDX less than 3. Semicolon? That's a fool's errand. JDX1, JDX2, so that's fine. Then it, here's why, because I need to reset JDX inside the index loop. Alright, there we go. I'm so used to functional enums that and I know there's some way to do it in JavaScript, but I just don't care to like bother figuring it out. Great. Okay, so that's good. We have a way of doing this, and then let's also just do something cool. So state should be a thing, right? So if I make state C0 R0 to be X, then state C0 R0 to be X, then what I can do is I can repaint, and it will put that X there. Beautiful. Okay, so now that we have all of those things up and running, I'm just going to go ahead and delete this line of X's because they're irrelevant. And good. Okay. So that section is I'm going to clean this up just a little bit. And I hate this like four space indenting for JavaScript, but I'm going to add a comment saying that this is the game board. And okay, so now all we're doing when we're clicking is, let's start out by saying who the player is. And initially, the player should be X. And let's make a case where we have this H tag, H2, and then we can put this in a span. And then we can highlight this by using a ID equals player, right? And when we repaint the thing, another job that we're going to do, so let's repaint the board, and then we should say who the player is. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to grab that span ID and just change the inner HTML. So so document that get elements by ID by what the heck? By name? No, that's not right. It should be ID. Document get element single by ID player dot inner HTML equals state dot player the player is X, and even I click it, not going to really do much. But what I should do is so we might want to have a little bit of a flash, but I'll deal with that in a second. So this is fine. What we want to do is we want to make the game board at that column and row match the letter of the thing. So let's do state state of C plus col plus R plus row equals we're going to make this the state, we're going to set that to state.player. Okay, and so this is kind of, oh right, and just setting it's not enough, we also need to repaint the board. So boom, boom, boom. Awesome. Okay. Now that we have that, however, we're not flipping the player, so let's flip the player. And of course, like, this is not going to detect anything. So after we're done, we're going to flip player. And this will have to be conditional on the fact that game board site is unoccupied. So let's do that one. Function repaint cell. Function flip player. And I'm just going to keep this global state. This fights every fiber of my being to not have global state, but it'll be fine. I mean, if I wanted to be nice about things, I could pass state in as a parameter on each of these, but not worth my time. If player equals state.player equals X, then state.player equals O, else state.player equals x. And we actually need to have that hit before repaint, because when we repaint the board, we need to repaint the player thing. Okay, great. Okay, so now, whoa, okay. Uncaught reference error, repaint is not defined. Uncaught syntax error, missing parentheses before condition. Oh, there you go. State.player equals x. There we go. Yeah, that's what you get for programming in other programming languages for too long. So now it doesn't flip the x. Oh, okay, so why is that? Flip player. Oh, here we go, that's why. All right, one is an assignment and one is a Boolean, one is assignment, one is a test. All right, great. So that is working. Okay, so the next thing we should probably do is we should implement some sort of message, and we're going to do that here. Div id equals message, and that's it. Okay, so when we repaint, we're going to also want to repaint any messages. So document get element message.inner HTML equals state.message. We'll start off with no message. Okay. And so that should still work as expected. And what we want to do is then when we do the on click, if that thing is not what we expect, right? Then if it's not underscore, in other words, if it's not a free space, then it should send a message saying, hey, like, dude, you messed up. Don't you can't try again. So if state c plus call plus r plus row let's not forget our semicolons this time. And then we do this. Darn. Once a tab. Else. We want to set state dot message equals, hey, you already pick another spot. We don't flip the player. We do want to repaint though. And what's going to happen is the message is going to persist across multiple things. That's got to change. But let's just check to see that I didn't screw this up so horribly. Hey, pick another spot. Great. Okay, so once we have that pick another spot, after we set this message, we want to set state.message equals that. Great. Okay, last thing we need to do is we need to have win condition detection. So, um, okay, so how should we do this? I think the right thing to do is uh, when the simplest possible thing is to not even like show that there's been a win and just reset the board and claim that the previous player and just drop that into the message, right? So let's do this. Oh, right. We can do else if. Is it else if or is it elif? Or is it else if? Elif? Else if. Okay. So I just want to test this thing. Um, so I'm going to drop in a stupid variable here. 1 equals false. 1. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make state.message equals, hey, last player player plus state.player plus won the last game. So that is what we're going to do, and then we're going to clear the board, right? And then we're going to repaint. Okay, so let's implement clear the board, and that is going to be pretty easy. So function clear board. And if you've noticed, I've basically kind of done this in a super functional style. Live with it. Object oriented gets in the way. Okay, so let's do while. Let's set up these while loops again. You know, I probably should figure out how to do a proper for loop in JavaScript, but you know, this is perfectly valid way of going about things. And all we're going to do here is we're just going to set this back to underscore. Okay, so looks good. So here's how I'm going to test it. I'm going to start doing these things, and then I'm going to set 1 to true. 1 equals true. And then what we should see is it failing. Call is not defined. Right, because I didn't call these column and row. Okay, that's fine. Oops, and it should be here. Oh, right, I can't multi-line. God. VS Code. And it actually kind of doesn't matter which one is which. I do believe what I did was still in the good and proper column major sense. So let's just fill in a couple of random things and then say 1 equals true. And then that should trigger a refresh. So it said player 0 won the last game, but it didn't actually refresh anything. And it also froze everything. That's fun. Clear board. So I set... that's why. Okay. So let's do that. And file save. No, it didn't do anything. Let's console.log 1 file save. 1 to be true. Ah, okay. However, now for some reason... Ah, okay, right. So once I've set 1 to true, it's going to just keep doing this, and in order for me to unlock it, I need to manually set this to false. And now I've unlocked it. I do think I have this corner case where I need to reset the thing to set the state to player to x. So state.player equals x. Okay, so let's unhinge this thing, right? And now we need to, instead of doing a variable, we need to check for when, right? Right. Okay, so actually this is maybe not the best place to put it. I should go ahead and update the state and then check for when here. So if player 1, then we're going to check this. Else flip the player, always repaint. And probably dropping in one of these guys is what we want. So we just need to implement player 1. So how do we do that? So function player 1. So now we know that the state of the board is fully updated. So probably what I should do is just do a brute force check of each of the columns, and just to see if all of the items in that column or in that array are correct. So we can even just generically do this thing by, so before, as we saw, we could do this like document.getElements by class. So I could just do document.getElements by class on each of the columns, right? And then on each of the rows. So let's do that. I mean, like, in a functional world, I would use some clever use of enums to like make this a lot simpler. But let's do this. Check array. Document.getElements by class name C0, right? Check when, or check when. Oh, let's do this. I mean, we're not talking about something that needs to be generalizable to like 5 in a row or any other more complicated game here. So let's just do this, C2, and then we can make these all R's. R1, R0, R1, R2, right? And then we can also we also need to check the diagonals. So the diagonals are going to be a little bit harder. So we can manually do that. Check diag1. Check diag2. But actually, do we want to do this by doing the document.getElements by class name? I actually think that that's not really going to work, because in order for us to be clever, man, I really want to be clever, we would have to repaint first. Yeah? So, we could we could repaint first, uh, and then we could repaint first to give us this like really cute searching mechanism. Oh man, but this is such terrible program design. All right, whatever, YOLO. So we're gonna repaint first, and then if this happens, then we're gonna repaint again. Uh, I love this. I love just how terrible this code is. Great. Then we repaint again. And then I'm just gonna leave myself a comment. This is done like this to make searching easy. Okay. Uh, but actually, the correct way to I think the correct way to do this is the other thing we should maybe think about doing is to we have to flip the player here. Uh, okay, hold on. So we flip the player first, and then you know what? I'm just to be nice. What I'll do is I will at least save current player equals state dot player, and then pass that into the player one, so that I don't have to like do some sort of weird tracking across the thing. So player, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to check win here. And then how do I get these diagonals? It would be nice to like make an array and just reuse code. So why don't I see what I can do about that? So diag1, and then we're going to call this diag2, and then this is, again, some of the worst code ever. Function diag1, that's going to be, and then oh, I see. Tricky. So to build the diagonals, I'll have to do, okay, for, we're going to have to do this. Here's what I can do. I can do this. Ha! Love it. And then this is going to be diagonal 2. The middle one is going to be part of both diagonals. And then this is going to be diagonal 2. Now I can do this. So that really awful code that where you kind of do this post hoc. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some clever way that you can, in fact, not bother even keeping the state in, and really that's what you should do. You should just keep the state in the document for something like this. And then even when you're in prod, you probably want some sort of, I mean, this is basically why a shadow DOM exists in the more modern JavaScript frameworks. But look at that. This is great. Okay, so now I just need to like actually implement this silly check win thing. So function check win player L array. And I like snake case, so live with it. So for so var L equals 0, because I still don't know how to do for loops, while L less than 3, we're going to L array L equals player. So this is a crappy enum. This is a crappy enum all. because we're using a while loop. So if L array L is not the player, then we're going to quit out, return false, and if it is, then return true. And I believe that should do it. So let's run this magical code and find where I screwed up. Okay, so it did not check that. Okay, so let's also do this. Player one console.log. Well, no, we know that's false, right? Or yeah, because otherwise this would have triggered. Let's go back and see what's happening in our check win, right? So or is that or correct? Oh, that's fine. Let's just see what happens if we console.log L. Oh, right. If L array not equal to player, L array dot inner HTML. So I'm not actually checking what's inside the HTML. All right, so let's do that. And oh, what happened? Did it not repaint? Okay, so we've got some sort of weird thing that I did here. Right. Oh, wow. Is it player one? Script terminated by timeout at on click. So, all right. So what's happening is I'm clicking, and then it's running through all of these bad boys, and something is not happening. And what's not happening is that I'm not incrementing L. Okay, so that should have triggered. That should have triggered what we were hoping. And so why is it not doing that? Interesting. Also, we need to, this reminds me that we also need to detect ties. So we'll put that logic in a second. But what is going on here? If L array L inner HTML, let's console.log these. Yep, so that's correct. So wait, it should be in three. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We also console.log the player. Yep. Okay. Interesting. So why? All right. So, um, all right. Let's just make things easier on ourselves. Check equals false. We're only going to check this one. True. If check, then console.log. Don't tell me it's something stupid like I should have put like these in. Always, never be lazy, right? Oh, it totally was, wasn't it? Ah, oh my gosh. That's not what I want. Okay, so that didn't work. But why is it thinking that... So it got all three, and why did it not return true? Um, So it got three of these, right? So three of those guys. Um, okay. All right. I just want to also see this. Okay, so it goes 0, 1, 2, and then it should return true. So, oh my gosh. JavaScript is not Elixir. That's what I need. Okay. I'm actually quite frankly surprised that that has not bitten me in the butt this whole session until now. Okay. let's do this. Boom, 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 boom. Player O won the last game. That is not right. What a pretty funny situation there. That's easy to fix. I have already saved the current player, so we can just make that quick fix. And then we also need to do a full-on check to make sure that you know our it doesn't player okay, great. Yeah, so the only thing that's left to do is to I mean, there's probably some way to make this search easier. I could probably pin the searches to only the things that are in the correct classes. This is super sloppy. But we need to check to make sure that there isn't a tie. So else if tie, game tie, then we're going to state.message sorry, I'm going to be a little bit OCD there. State.last game ended in a tie. Clear board. Ah. Seriously. Jeez. And then set the state player to X. Repaint. right? And this should be pretty easy. I think that there's some way for me to do document.get elements by tag name. And then we can get elements tag name by TD, right? And so that should just give me a list of all of the TDs. So let's do this. So clearboard is going to be pretty simple. So our what was it? Check tie. I believe I called it game tie. This since I yeah, check tie. And for I think I can do this. For L in document dot get elements by tag name. And I just want to make sure that like this doesn't do something weird where it takes that like thing, that length thing, and like tries to run that in there. So let's repeat this over here. So for L in document dot, and then we can do console.log l.inner HTML. Did not like that. Okay, I guess we can do one thing that is that is object oriented. It's document dot for each. Is that a thing? Nope. No, it's not. Okay. Okay, so let's just do this. Var idx equals 0 while idx less than 9. Just do what you know and what is easy. idx equals dot inner HTML equals underscore and then we're going to return false. So we can have early quitting on this loop. And then if we've noticed that they're all occupied by something that's either an X or O, return true. All right, that should do it. So boom. No, that does not do it. Okay. Some sort of weird slow thing. I'm going to go ahead and save this as dot inner HTML. Well, let's only search that once, yeah? So we're checking a tie. The cells idx inner HTML equals that. So let's refresh. Stop it. Refresh. Okay. So, right. Once again, I've forgotten to increment the index, and that is why we implemented proper for loops. And oh my, it's slow. Oh, man, I can't even force a tie. All right, let's just do tie x o x o x. Awesome. And that, I believe, is the correct implementation of really crappy tic-tac-toe in JavaScript.